I definitely made a backcast in front of an 18-wheeler that I should not have.
Hello there, and welcome to the If It Swims podcast, the multi-species angling podcast. I'm Bret Bolton. Joining me for episode 15 are Justin Wingert.
Hey, man. What's going on?
And Dave Spear.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Hey, guys, thanks for joining. This month, we've got a pretty cool trip to review, an interview with Clay Groves of the Fish Nerds podcast, and finally, the Carp Ladder contest. The launch is upon us, and we have our second set of baits to release.
I'm excited.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, they're going to be fun ones. But let's kick this thing off with some trips. I'll start with you, Justin. Did you make it out?
I have not, unfortunately. I picked up some new gear, but I haven't had a chance to use it yet. I did.
Okay.
I can talk about the gear for a sec. I'm going to try out.
I want to hear about it.
Well, I'm going to try out the Cast King brand, which is a brand that Bret has recommended to me. I got a new rod recently, and I've been in the market for some new reels to go with it. So I picked up a Sharky 3 bait runner from Cast King, which I'm excited to try for the Carp Ladder. I think it should be perfect. And I picked up a Spartacus 2 from Cast King as well.
I know both of those. Is that Sharky like a 3000 size?
I believe it's the 3000, yeah. It looked like about the perfect size for carp.
It's a perfect size for a lot of the fishing that you do, and it includes a bait runner.
Yes, I picked it partly because of the bait runner.
That's a good trick.
It's I really like the colors on it too, black and red. It's very stylish.
Yeah, I don't love that red.
You don't like it? I thought it was pretty cool.
No, but it's I mean I just fished. I didn't fish them. Luke just fished while we're here. Luke just fished 2 of them for a week. Yep. So while we're talking about that, I made it out. Actually, my son and I went on a trip with Dave.
That's right.
We spent.
Was it Dave W. from Florida?
It was not Dave W. from Homestead, Florida.
Oh man, you guys should have hooked up with him and done some fishing while you're out there.
We drove right past Homestead once. So yeah,
we just knocked at every door. Hey, are you Dave W. that listens to If It Swims? Do you want to go fishing?
Oh man! So yeah, we spent several days species fishing the Everglades due to some airline snafus.
Mother Nature storm snafus.
Yes.
Yeah.
Luke and I arrived about 12 hours later than expected, but also about 12 hours before Dave.
Yeah.
So with all that, we were running on about 2 hours of sleep spread across an airport terminal and a flight, and should have gone straight to the hotel for a nap. Instead, we caffeinated up and went straight into the Everglades.
Hell yeah.
And we were kind of rewarded for it.
Excellent.
On the first day before Dave was with us, Luke and I caught a lot of Mayan cichlids, my first Florida gar of the trip, some native bluegill and native warmouth, and somehow I caught a walking catfish.
That's
on a
really cool.
On a small swim bait.
Soft plastic, huh?
Soft plastic, yeah. Very strange.
Did you snag it?
I did not snag it.
Did you see it?
Ate without question.
Was it walking across a mud hole by the side of the road and you're like, you just fling your jerkbait out in front of it on the land?
I did not catch it in a parking lot, if that's what you're asking, but I did catch it in about 3 inches of water.
Have you seen have you seen the videos I've seen them on YouTube where in some parts, I think Southeast Asia, where people are hand lining catfish out of literal holes in the ground? It's just a hole in the ground with water in it, and they pull catfish out of it. It's awesome.
I've seen this, yeah. We got a bunch of not Mayans, let's start with a bunch of jaguar cichlids as well. Finished the day with conch fritters, jerk shrimp, and plantains. And then I slept like you would not believe. Dave arrived sometime overnight.
That's right.
We met up for breakfast. Dave, how'd the rest of that trip go?
Well, I mean, for me, it was amazing. My first trip. my first trip fishing that kind of water in Florida, freshwater and fishing the Everglades.
Yeah, it was weird.
And, I caught a lot of weird stuff with a lot of orange on it. I caught 4 new species on the trip, which was awesome for me.
That's
I thought
awesome.
you had 5.
Maybe it was 5. Let's see. Let me see. I caught a Mayan cichlid,
That's
a
new.
jaguar cichlid, an Oscar,
That's weird.
a Florida gar, and a peacock
the-
bass. I guess it was 5.
5, yeah. The Florida gar is probably, to me, one of the coolest ones.
The Florida gar is the one that I fought the most for because,
Did you ever?
yeah, I spent on our last day in the Everglades, we did one more day fishing after that, but on our last day fishing the Everglades, we got into a spot that we'd already fished. We'd kind of driven by it in the truck and fished it a couple of times. And it was a great spot. It had some, it's where I caught my first jaguar and we all caught
And
Oscars
Oscar.
there.
Yeah.
But I really, at this point, I'd watched Bret pull in 4 or 5 gar and I really wanted to catch a gar. So I went and I grabbed the fly rod and started sight fishing them. And boy, I probably spent an hour and a half in the afternoon and was not able to land one. We came back in the evening and I had like 4 all the way up to the bank. And then they'd flip back into the water. And finally, Bret and Luke witnessed me finally catch one. It was a pretty good size one, which was nice. But like,
Really nice.
I didn't really care about the size. I just finally wanted to touch one because they kept yanking. And I tell you what, trying to pick up this is probably only 3 pounds or something, but trying to pick up a 3-pound gar at the end of a 9-foot fly rod, like you would pick a bass out of the water, it's virtually impossible.
Right. Plus, you're basically standing on the road fishing into a ditch.
I definitely made a backcast in front of an 18-wheeler that I should not have. Somehow I missed.
Oh, that would have been exciting.
Did you, Dave, when you finally had it, did you just dive into the ditch to grab it and like wrestle it ashore? Make sure you caught it.
Closer,
I kind of
than you
figured.
think.
You were like, screw it, I'm getting this one.
Them. That's what it looked like. Yeah.
I had been, the sun was, it was getting dark and I wear prescription glasses. I was wearing prescription sunglasses. It was getting to the point where I could hardly even see them in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And, like I said, I had one all the way up and touched it and then it got away. And, so yeah, when this one came up, I got down to the water's edge as quick as I could, which was just like climbing over rocks and trees and, trying to grab that sucker.
As you got to sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yep. We all caught a few large. Oh, no. We all caught a few Florida bass.
Oh.
All right. Florida Steve.
Yes, which is probably not a new species for us. However, because we live in Texas where they stock Florida bass, but we know we caught we specifically noted it as a Florida bass when we caught it.
Sure, right. It wasn't a Kentucky or a spotted or a Guadalupe
or even a largemouth.
Yep.
So that's a cool thing. I caught a Plecostomus.
He did.
That is
I saw it.
That's
incredible. I saw it, and so did Luke.
I don't know how I caught it. I caught a Plecostomus. It was the craziest thing ever. I was messing with them.
I just assumed you like focused in on one and just kept going until you managed to get it to eat something. Did you stick with your strategy?
I would have, but I was just dropping a swim bait in front of this one, and there were like 6 or 7 piled together. I was just dropping a swim bait at them, and they were a jig basically. Yeah, and they were leaving. They were just getting out of there. One of them decided, "I'm leaving, but I'm taking that with me."
Yeah. And then this was fairly clear water and it wasn't very deep. And Bret and I both we're watching his jig, right?
Yeah.
You're kind of sinking it and dealing with water refraction, trying to get it just in the right spot. And we're both watching this jig and then the jig disappears and neither of us can see it.
Yeah.
And we're like, what? And then his rod bends and, Plico.
It wasn't very big, but it was armored catfish or Plecostomus or whatever.
That's really cool. Did you start jumping up and down and cheering like a giddy child on Christmas morning?
I did not on the Plecostomus. Only one fish down there that I actually do that with.
Is that the walking
And that
catfish?
that was a complete shock. The Florida gar on
Ah.
my first trip.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
There's one of the fish I will do that with next time I go if I get one.
Right.
And we didn't see one this trip.
The clown knifefish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave and I spent a day on a boat or half a day on a boat with fishing for him.
Nada.
Never saw one. Dave caught a butterfly peacock bass, which was cool.
Yeah.
What is a
Yeah. We
butterfly
hadn't seen any
peacock
peacocks
bass?
up to that point.
That's the ones they have in Florida mostly.
Oh, is it like a subspecies?
No, there's peacock bass is like a black bass. There's a butterfly
Mhm.
peacock.
Oh, okay.
That's all I know.
But there's a few of them, and what they have in Florida is pretty
Well,
much.
see, that I
butterfly.
hadn't even realized. I just thought of them
Yeah.
as peacock bass in general.
That's generally what they're called, but it is the butterfly
Mm-hmm.
peacock. It probably takes a little bit cooler temperature than some of the others,
Yeah.
so it can live longer in Florida. I know they get a fish kill every 3 or 4 years,
Mhm.
but obviously not all of them.
Yep.
You know, we also had a tense moment where we thought Dave was hooked into an alligator.
Ooh.
And not because, now we saw gators everywhere, not because we saw a gator, but because I had a fish of unknown origin. It was a good fighter.
Yeah.
My rod was really, really, really doubled over.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fighting this fish and it stops moving. And then I literally cannot move it. And so Brett and Luke are watching, and I'm pulling and I'm pulling and I'm pulling and pulling and pulling, and nothing is happening. But I can feel life on the other side of the line.
Yeah.
And you know, Luke's like, it's got to be a gator. You're going to have to cut that off. It's like, well, if it's going to be a gator, I want to at least see that it's a gator before I cut my line, you know, because there was a fish on there.
swim bait back.
Well, sure enough,
Yeah.
finally, the movement got a little bit more movie, but less fish fighty. And I
Mhm.
pulled in a massive tree. And apparently, whatever I had hooked, it was on a rattle trap, right? And whatever I'd hooked had run
Mhm.
to cover, and
Yeah.
one of my hooks got buried in the tree, and the fish was long gone.
So they got to fight a branch for 30 minutes.
I think that was a tire. Was that like a tire or something?
I don't know.
Or like a
I don't
sandbag?
know. I've actually fought a sandbag once.
Wait, was it
does
you?
Weird stuff. No, it was not me. We catch anything else?
Oh man,
We both
I
caught
mean-
the world's smallest snook.
Oh, really?
that's right.
Yeah,
I caught one the size of a child's sneaker, and then Brett came back with one that was half that size,
It was impossibly small.
which was impressive. It was impossibly small. Now it wasn't like finger length small, but it was a small snook. And
It
let's
was-
see,
as small as they get.
Mhm.
yeah, Luke
I
got
think-
his first ladyfish.
Caught his first ladyfish. He
Nice.
doesn't fish saltwater
Mhm.
that much. He's only fished it a couple of times, so he hadn't really caught a ladyfish before. I got one on the same spot. I didn't know we're even still in saltwater at that point.
Me,
You
either.
know,
Was
But
that
they get
snook
know.
one of the pictures you sent?
I don't know. Was it a fish about the size of a dollar bill?
Yeah.
With
I-
a black stripe.
I
on it.
remember like scrolling through the pictures like, oh, these are awesome. It's like, why did he include this tiny largemouth? Wait a minute.
That's not a large. It's got a large mouth.
Yeah, well, I saw that. I saw you holding it, you lipping it, and I was like, wait a minute. Oh, that's not a largemouth at
Yeah.
all, is it?
No. Snook are super
Mhm.
cool. I like big ones though because they can fight pretty well. Dave, you're not a huge fan of snook, you said, right?
No, I love them. I just some people are really like, hey, I'm gonna go catch some snook. And to me, they live in the same spots that I would be like, hey, I'm gonna go catch some tarpon. So
I got you.
Yeah.
I like
That's
snook. They're
fair.
cool.
Okay. I've targeted snook around the lights at night with a fly rod, and that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if the tarpon show up, I'm not going to mess with the snook anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like, in a lesser freshwater sort of thing. If we were catching a bunch of smallmouth, which I love, if a bunch of the school of stripers rolled through, I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go for the stripers now.
Yes. It's true. It was a good trip.
Sounds like it.
I'm already. I thought after this one I would be a little bit done with this
Sated.
trip. I'm not. I'm ready to go back. I have to get a clown knife fish.
I'm ready to go back too. And luckily, because of the storm gods messed up our flights, I was somehow miraculously able to get a voucher for that leg of the flight, which I didn't think I would because it was weather and
weather, and they're weird
and
about
not
that.
the airline's error. But they gave me a voucher, so
Well, that's
guess
cool.
where I'm going.
Yeah,
sometime in the next 364 days.
Oh man, it was a good trip, Justin. We've told you before we went.
Mm-hmm.
You have to get down there.
I definitely want to someday. Sounds awesome.
It's not so much the lake for the clown knife fish and peacocks.
I just want to get there to catch all the weird crap in every little ditch.
The ditch
my species count would shoot to the roof, I think, which would be
is
awesome.
very much your style.
Yes,
too, you know what I mean?
I have long enjoyed fishing a good ditch.
Yes.
I was gonna say, I just remember when I was a kid, Dad and I, we lived in Minnesota for a while. I remember we were fishing a lake somewhere, and we didn't catch a whole lot, so we were just checking out little spots on the way back. We basically ended up fishing a little drainage ditch that ran under the road, and we caught the weirdest combination of creek chubs and rainbow trout.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems pretty weird. I've caught rainbow trout under a road before.
Yeah.
No, sorry, those were browns under a road before.
They were
I guess it does make sense.
Yeah, they were all little tiny ones. I mean, they're like 6-inch trout, but it was like every other cast would be either a huge creek chub or a tiny trout. And it's just like some little stream. I think it was connected to like a stream that got stocked with trout up there. It's Minnesota, so.
Sure. Does that cover it, Dave?
I mean, yeah, I guess so. I feel like I could talk about that trip for about 48 days,
Make
but
a
we
whole
probably
episode
bore our
about it.
listeners.
We did see rolling tarpon. Couldn't get them to do anything.
Yeah, off in the distance.
Yeah.
Like a mirage, you know, the closer you get to them.
Yeah.
They stay the same distance away.
Oh man.
But yeah, it was really a blast. You know, and we were talking right before we hit the recording. You know, I had probably 6 boxes of different kind of tackle, and I think because I had 6 boxes of tackle, I probably threw 5 or 6 different things. But honestly, we caught virtually all of our fish on one rig. You know,
What rig was that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just a jig head with a little white plastic bait on it.
Yeah, it was jig heads with Bobby Garland
Nice.
jig bodies on it, you know.
Simple.
But it's a small swim bait.
But very effective.
Yeah, you would probably throw a Roadrunner.
A Roadrunner, yeah. I would definitely try.
Yeah. See, I didn't want to get into Bret's expensive Bobby Garland, so I had some Zoom tiny flukes, which are about the same. Well, they're about 3/4 of an inch longer, but they worked.
Yeah, but that Bobby Garland is a really good lure down there for fish that are on the smaller side but are still pescatarian predators. Those are perfect.
What size jig heads were you mostly using? Just out of curiosity.
Heavier than you normally do. I was using 1/8 ounce, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty heavy just to get the distance and have more control over them.
Yeah.
I had I got a lot, Dave. I got a lot of fish on those weird Amazon bodies.
Yeah,
I had.
the Dr. Fish swim baits. They're very realistic looking.
Super shiny.
Yeah, very realistic looking. They even have the either whether it's glass or plastic, the highly realistic eyes molded into them. Those were cool.
They were cool. Softer than I wanted because 2-line cichlids and you can forget it.
Isn't that about the same with those Garland baits, though?
It really probably kind of is.
But they're cheap. See, that's it.
Yeah, they're not 80 cents each. You're right.
Yeah, they're less. I think they're less than $0.10 a piece.
Right. That was awesome. It was a good trip. You'll make it next time, Justin.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, you doing anything in April?
Yeah, what do you do in April?
I don't know. I hear there's some stupid carp thing going on.
Oh.
We'll get there. The angling podcast community is a pretty small one. And one of the first fishing podcasts I came across while planning If It Swims was the Fish Nerds podcast with Clay Groves. He was willing to sit down with Justin and I for an interview. This is Clay on 13 Questions With. Clay Groves is the chief executive fish nerd of the Fish Nerds podcast, licensed fishing guide, and middle school science teacher. Clay is best known for his quest to catch and eat every kind of freshwater fish in New Hampshire. Clay's even been recognized at the dump, so he's kind of a big deal. You can find all things about the Fish Nerds and the Fish Nerds podcast at www.fishnerds.com. Clay, thanks for joining us on this If It Swims podcast, and welcome to 13 Questions with.
I like it, Clay. I like it.
I'm happy to be here. I'll tell you what, Justin and Bret. I heard about your podcast from a friend of mine that said someone stole your podcast, Clay.
Oh, no.
And so I said, let me take a listen. And I listened to it. And by the way, I listened to it and then I checked my email. And that person who said that was you, Bret. You sent me an email saying you're thinking about starting a fishing podcast.
Mhm.
And you emailed me before you began. So you're the one
I did.
who
Okay.
told me you were stealing my podcast. So it's totally okay. You can have it.
I can have it.
There's people don't realize this. There's no money in podcasting.
Of course.
Yes.
We make a podcast because we're nerds and we want to talk about fish every month. And we're looking for other people who are as nerdy as we are and love this stuff and get it. And you guys get it.
No,
Which is
that's
cool.
exactly it.
I was going to make the joke that Clay is only showing up because he's secretly planning to shut us down and he wants to record our reactions for his podcast.
I have the
I got
power
him.
of the internet. You're canceled.
Yes.
Exactly. Guess what, Fish Nerds? I got him.
Yes.
Clay and I were speaking a second before the recording, and we noted we often have the same news stories.
Oh, nice.
I can think of one in particular we both had. The monkey face prickleback.
Oh, you remember stuff.
Well,
I make
Once
it a
in a
point
while.
to forget everything
It's
I say
hard
so I can repeat myself the day after. No one knows.
it's hard
It's a
to
good
forget.
trick.
It's hard to forget the monkey face prickleback.
It is. It's a great name for a fish, too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning, Clay.
Okay.
What was your So let's start at the beginning. What was your first fishing memory? Or
My first?
yeah,
Go
or the first fish you recall catching.
Good Lord.
I know.
My God, what kind
Gonna
of question
dig deep
is
for
this?
that one.
My first fishing memory. Like I just told you a minute ago. I can't remember what I said yesterday.
That's a good point.
By the way, I went ice fishing last night.
Is that your first fishing memory?
It's
Last night.
2 feet of ice. It was 55 degrees out and sunny, and I got a tiny yellow perch. Oh, today was 60 and sunny, and I was able to go ice fishing. So we're having a good month.
I miss ice fishing.
Where are you from, Justin?
So I live in Texas now, but I moved
Don't
around
brag.
a lot. I know I moved around a lot as a kid, and we spent a lot of time in Wisconsin and Michigan.
So real fishing.
Yeah, in
Oh,
Minnesota.
nice.
So I miss getting out on the ice. I haven't done it since I was a teenager, but I really miss it sometimes.
Well, it's all a high-tech game now, so it's a huge different thing than when you were a kid. We're not chasing flags anymore. We're
Mhm.
jigging with sonars. But to get, Bret, to your question, my
Yeah.
first fishing memory, I'm trying to slide back and remember. I think, you know what's funny? When I was a kid with my parents, they fished a lot and I didn't. And then there was one time I was at, and I watched them fish a lot. And there was one time I was at a camp in upstate New York, and you can see the bluegills swimming around the pond out there. And at the campground office, they sold hand lines with that green twine wrapped around them. And
Sure.
it had like lead split shots and a giant hook on it. So I bought that, and they gave me a slice of bread. And I went out and I started catching bluegills with hand lines. And I think that's the early, as far as I must have been 5, 6 maybe.
There
or
you
so.
go. It's pretty
I
far
started
back.
hand-lining fish. Yeah. But I also might be making this up. This could be somebody else's story. And my story might be like, I don't know. And I'm
Sure.
making it up to make it sound
But
really cool.
it does keep a common thread amongst the interviews and the people on our show that it
Sure.
is a lifelong passion.
It is a lifelong. Now, Bret,
Right.
someone you didn't ask, and you're not going to ask about my first time ice fishing, so I'm going to tell you about it.
Perfect.
Because, as host of the Fish Nerds podcast, I can take over stuff when I touch it.
No, it's a legitimate answer too.
This came out. So this is my first time ice fishing. I had heard of ice fishing. I moved to New Hampshire about 30 years ago. I don't know. I was 18, 19 years old. I'm
Mhm.
a lot older now. And I was driving around Squam Lake. Do you know Squam Lake on Golden
No.
Pond? Never
That I
heard
know.
Robert
I've
Redford
heard,
on Golden
I've
Pond?
heard of the movie.
Okay.
But
It was filmed on Squam Lake. So I was
Okay.
driving to Squam
Nice.
Lake. It was in January, and it was an old man sitting out on the ice.
Is it Robert
catching-
Redford?
He was sitting out on the ice.
It was Robert Redford was out on the ice,
There you go.
fly fishing, river
Mhm.
runs through his style, through the ice. It was amazing. But anyway, he was sitting on a bucket on the ice, and he was piling yellow perch on the ice. And I thought, I'm going to try that. And I was wearing sneakers and jeans and a sweater, had nothing on it. I've never been on the ice in my life. So I went to, all I knew is beer is the great equalizer. So I went into
Definitely.
the local supermarket. I bought a 6-pack of Schlitz or PBR, some garbage beer like that. And I walked out in the ice and put it down next to the dude. And I said, can you show me how to do this? And he reached down, he cracked a beer open, and he handed me his rod. And 2 seconds later, I had a fish on the ice, and he was drinking beer. And 5 minutes later, I had to leave because I was going to die because it was stupid cold out there, and I wasn't dressed for it. Ever since, I'm like, oh, this is my sport. I'm in.
I like it.
Yeah.
These days, are you full up shanty and everything else, or are you out there in the environment?
So this time of year, actually this past weekend, it's March, first weekend of March, second week of March. We had booked a bachelor party, a bunch of guys from San Francisco who wanted to do all the winter sports in New Hampshire in one weekend. So on Friday, they climbed Mount Chicora, which is the second most photographed mountain in the world,
Cool.
which is up my way. And it was 50-mile-an-hour winds all day. I'm like, who goes out in that stuff? And it was about 30 degrees out. Then on Saturday, they booked a fishing trip with me, and it was about 25 degrees out with 30-mile-an-hour winds. And so we took them out on the ice. And first of all, it was my partner Vinny and I came out with these guys, and we have a sled with all of our gear in it, and they're pretty full sleds. And these guys get out of their car, and they've got a full-size cooler like you're camping for the weekend. We're doing a 4-hour trip. And this is huge cooler, like 3 feet long. And on top of that, they had like a banana box full of whole loaves of bread, giant jars of olives, charcuterie stuff, cookie jars. They had like 40 pounds of food with them. So we had to Sherpa their gear out to the ice. And we're white perch fishing. And white perch fishing through the ice requires you to move around a lot because you got to find the schools of fish. They don't stay on structure. They just travel around these giant schools. So we're trying to move these guys around, schlepping their gear back and forth over the ice, 30-mile-an-hour winds, 25 degrees out. Vinny and I are hot because we're working so hard. These guys are shivering and shaking. So I head back to the truck. We have these pop-up ice fishing tents. And I go and we screw that to the ice, but it warms up to 30 degrees and the sun comes out. It's still super windy out. With 30 degrees, with the sun out, the ice anchors are made out of metal and they heat up, which means that they don't hold the ice anymore. They just pull right out. So the tent blows down. A disaster.
This sounds like one of our trips.
It's every look. The clients don't know it's a disaster.
Yeah,
listening to the podcast. The clients watch with a pile of zero perch, white perch, but they did get a pile of crappies. They had the ice fishing experience. They felt New Hampshire winter. They were standing on almost 3 feet of ice, so they felt like Jesus. They walked on water. It's a win,
They got exactly what they wanted.
And their Instagram is beautiful. Yeah.
Very cool.
And they were super nice guys. So that's
excellent.
That's fun. Makes
makes
your job easier.
Brett, that's my trick. And Justin, this is my trick for everything is I like everybody I meet. And so because of that, I automatically like you. So we're going to have a good time.
It does make it easier.
I like that.
Yeah. What's the next question?
Yeah.
Next question.
I'm out of time.
All right, we're done. See you. See you later, man. Next question is, Clay, what is your personal favorite fish to catch and why? Also, because we've been talking about ice fishing, if you have a favorite fish from the ice that is different, feel free to tell us about both.
Sure.
Okay. Well, it's tricky because tomorrow I have a different answer. But right now...
I know how that goes.
Right now, I'm a species guy like you guys. I like...
Yep.
I love all the kinds of fish. So my most recent species would be the most exciting fish. And I haven't been chasing multi-species in a while because I've already defeated New Hampshire and I don't travel. So I'm stuck here. But right now, my kid's in I live an hour from Lake Winnipesaukee, the biggest lake in the state of New Hampshire. And it's still frozen. And daylight savings just happened. And my kid's in a play at the Winnipesaukee Playhouse, Heather's the Musical, which is I'm so excited about because I
that's
remember
pretty cool.
You know Heather's?
Did you say Heather's the musical?
Yeah. Christian Slater.
That's awesome. Absolutely. I am just the right age. I'm just the right age for that film.
Yep, 26. Perfect. And okay, so that musical is out. My kid's in it, which I'm so excited about it. But the Playhouse is on the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee,
That's
which means
awesome.
4 days a week I have to go to Lake Winnipesaukee, drop my kid off at rehearsal, and waste 4 hours. And
Oh no!
conveniently, there's a lake right there called Lake Winnipesaukee. So I've been walking out there and fishing, trying to catch a burbot. You know what a burbot is?
Oh,
Absolutely.
excellent.
Or a cusk, or a lingcod, or loda, trying to get one of those. And my friend got one a couple nights ago, and I didn't get one. But currently that's my challenge in the lake, and I like it because I like that fish because I rarely see them any other time of year. They go through estivation in the summertime, which is like hibernation. In the winter, they have these giant orgies and they eat a lot, and you catch them, they taste great. So that's what the plan. Yep. What was the other question? Favorite fish?
Well, specifically, the rest of it was, why is it your favorite fish? And also, if you have a different fish that you like to catch through the ice, feel free to elaborate on that too.
Burbot.
Okay,
Burbot.
so
Yeah,
the
well,
burbot
burbot, we
is the
kind of answered that
different
already.
fish. It's a different fish. Favorite fish? I vacation in South Carolina at Folly Beach, and I've been really enjoying catching weird stuff there, like the oyster toadfish is a fun one to catch.
It's a cool fish.
Oyster toadfish.
Yeah,
a cool fish.
There's some great names of fish out in the salt. Hi.
That's my kid Blue Jay. Hey, Blue Jay, you might as well come on microphone, say hi. The Blue Jay is in Heather's the musical.
Hello.
Okay.
Nice. Hello.
Hello.
All right, get out of here.
Okay, bye.
Okay,
Bye.
so anyway,
Awesome.
So that's one of my favorites because it's so weird. I caught one last time I was down there, and I have a regret about it. I didn't eat it, and so one of the things that I've done in my life I'm very proud of is catching and eating every kind of freshwater fish in the state of New Hampshire, because anyone can be a species angler, but it takes a special kind of angler to murder everything, and that's my goal. So I regret not eating the oyster toadfish because no one eats them, and everyone badmouths these fish. They call them trash fish or whatever. And I hate that. And if you eat a
We all do.
fish, you like it more because it tastes good. They all taste good.
Yeah.
Oh, except for
we had
Tommy Sculpins. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not
we
we
did a carp tasting for the same reason not that long ago.
I heard it. I listened to it, and I enjoyed
excellent. Thank you.
You know, carp was brought to the United States as food fish.
Yep.
And into Manchester, New Hampshire, General John Stark had them as a gift to him. He never ate any of them. But they were brought as food, and no one eats them, and you should be eating them. We made gefilte fish when we were catching all the fish in New Hampshire. We caught a carp, and we made the gefilte fish out of it because we were celebrating.
How was that?
Tradition. It tasted like meatloaf, like fish meatloaf, and it was super good. Yeah. We didn't make the fish jelly out of its slime or anything like you're supposed to because we're not traditionalists or chefs.
Or insane.
Or chefs, yeah.
Yeah. I would do it.
Oh,
I would go back and I would eat it again. The only problem with catching a big carp in New Hampshire is they're full of mercury. The bigger the fish, the more mercury.
Yeah.
So if you look at the jet stream going to the United States, New Hampshire is like the tailpipe of the country. It all dumps out over New Hampshire every time. So that's where your acid rain, your mercury is going to come from. That's why even in the most pristine mountain stream, we've got mercury in all the fish. And so if you're going to eat fish, eat small ones. And, you know, babies are good anyway, and they're terrible. So.
Man. Oh, man. So you mentioned being a species guy. Do you still have a personal bucket list fish?
Yeah. The one fish in New Hampshire that I can't find.
Oh. What is it?
There's 48 species. We got 47, and we have not caught a lake whitefish. And we started that quest back in 2011, and back then it was legal to catch, kill, and eat one of those. Since then, the state has called the fish extirpated, which means almost extinct, and they are no longer legal for taking. So I could claim I caught all 47 species of freshwater fish in New Hampshire because it's not legal to take anymore, but I still want to catch one, and I've seen videos of my friends who have caught them, so I've seen 3 alive in the last 10 years. So I know they exist. So that I still want to catch a lake whitefish because that fish owes me. And I'm not going to take it, but I'm not allowed to eat it, but I will lick it. So I'll be like, there you go.
Oh, that's amusing.
Lick it and take his money. You owe me, fish.
You're mine.
I've been chasing you for 15 years.
Well, you know, I made a podcast. This podcast exists because of my failure to catch fish. We had with this podcast, the Fish Nerds, we had entered a event in Exeter, New Hampshire called Pitchapalooza. It's a national contest, and these people were touring around, and you were able to pitch your book idea to publicists and authors and agents, and it was like American Idol style. So we were pitching. They randomly pick out of a jar 5 people to pitch their one minute to sell your book idea. They picked my partner Dave and I at the time. To pitch our book idea, which is the quest to catch all the fish in New Hampshire. And we pitched it. We might have been a little drunk. In the audience, there's hundreds of people who want to do this. There's NPR people. There's all kinds of people there. And we won the Pitchapalooza contest, and we earned ourselves an agent out of New York City. And we thought, we're in the money. We made the big time. Our book is going to be sold. And after a year of trying to sell the book, he says, have you thought of making a podcast? And then we ditched the whole book idea and launched the podcast, and here we are.
Oh, man.
Excellent.
Is that 13 questions yet?
Almost. So tell us, what is the largest fish you've ever caught in freshwater, saltwater, and if you'd like to add through the ice, that's okay too.
Well, my freshwater fish is both icy and freshwater.
Okay, so that's easy then.
That'd be a 44-inch northern pike.
Nice. Very nice.
Yep, on a tip up. But I don't get that excited about large fish like that. It's just kind of like lucky. It's just dumb luck. So I get more excited about catching volume of fish. I don't chase large fish because I really like catching a lot of fish.
Gotcha.
I have no patience for waiting for a big fish to come. Biggest fish in the ocean. Oh my gosh. Probably a 40-pound. No. See, if you worked with a team to catch a shark, does that count?
Sure.
I'm going to say it does. Yeah, you still caught it.
We actually caught this while we were recording a live podcast on in the Atlantic Ocean while we were shark fishing with a listener. And while we had the recording equipment going, we were wrapping up for the day. And we decided, you know what? We're not going to catch any fish. And we were recording right then. We started just recording and pulling lines in. And all of a sudden, the bobber, which was a balloon, closest to the boat, it said Fish Nerds on it, went underwater. And then all hell broke loose. And we caught a 240-pound mako shark.
Very nice.
Yeah, and that was amazing. Took about 2 hours to land the stupid thing. And then before we went, we talked to fish and game officers in Maine, conservation people, and they said it was legal to keep them and it was sustainable. So we kept the fish.
I was going to say, did you eat it?
Yeah, so I got a huge cooler full of fish, like one huge chunk of fish. We tipped the harbor master 10 pounds of fish. We went to a bar afterwards. We gave 10 pounds to the bartender. Went home and ate it. It was so good. And then the next morning, we were on NPR. We brought it in. We went into this is Boston Public Radio. Went into Boston Public Radio, fed it to them, and then we got 1,000 emails and phone calls from scientists going, "What the hell are you guys doing? Sharks aren't sustainable." And they're all correct. They are. A giant shark like that is not sustainable eating. Is not okay. But we didn't know. We asked, we ate, and then we got busted and got canceled. And that's why I'm not rich to. Yeah, not canceled.
But
you tried your best. You asked.
You did your due diligence.
Biologist. Yeah, I mean,
you think they would know.
Yeah.
Right. The problem is things with stuff like sharks and anything in the ocean is they're not local. Like they can travel anywhere. So even though in Maine there are lots of mako sharks, it doesn't mean globally those numbers are strong. So you have to really look at the whole picture of it. So even though that shark was delicious, it took me about 2 years to eat it all, and my kids loved it. And I will miss eating mako shark. I won't do it again. So unless no one's looking.
Oh man. So you've covered this a little bit. What is the rarest or most unusual fish you've actually targeted, and were you successful?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you. So besides the white, the whitefish, the northern red-bellied dace was really hard to catch. This fish is 1.5 inches long, and it took me 2.5 years to find it. And then from my house, the nearest place I found it was about a 4.5-hour drive and a private pond on someone's farm. So once I snuck on their property, I spotted it in the water. I had to go I knew it was there because Fish and Game gave us the electro studies of all the waters in New Hampshire. So you can usually, that's public information.
Okay.
So we just called them up and they emailed us a Google map with all these dots on it. And so we knew where this fish was. But then finding that fish that small and then getting permission to fish the water because it was private water. We got that permission and then trying to get that stupid thing to eat a hook. Because when we were on the quest to catch all the fish in New Hampshire, we weren't netting them out. This was hook and line fishing, or
This is
we had
angling.
a special rule for creative ways, like spearing a fish, bow and arrows, that sort of thing. So eventually, after 4 or 5 trips out there, it's in Colebrook, New Hampshire, I eventually figured out that if I just take a tiny white piece of thread and a number 32 hook, which is, I think, about the smallest hook you can find, and I just glued that thread to the hook, that fish would swim in, and it grabbed the thread, and that was good enough for me. Then I got a net under it and put it in the net, and then I ate it.
There you go.
Yeah.
You ate the dace.
How did you
I ate
prepare
the
the days?
I assume you cooked it whole.
We did. I
fried up like a little
Or-
sardine.
Yeah.
The other option is you could have just swallowed it right there.
I could have. So I had a partner, Dave Kellum, in this quest, and the rule was we could catch the fish separate. We had to eat them together. So that days we had to split.
Okay.
So yeah, I think we flipped a coin. One of us ate the heads, and one got tails. Yeah, It might have been.
I'm not sure which is.
It was so long ago.
Yeah, that's cool. Dace are
once upon
cool
a time,
fish
there
as
was
a
gonna be a
whole, though.
book. They're so cool,
Right.
and they're beautiful. And if you look at the Fish Nerds logo,
They're extremely colorful, cool fish.
if you look at the Fish Nerds logo, like on my hat here that I'm wearing now, or on my website, the orange we chose there was the orange color for the northern red-bellied dace. That's very specific.
There you go.
Oh,
Nice.
that's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
All right, so this you may not have an answer for this question now because you're clearly targeting every possible
Justin,
thing
I
you
have
can.
an answer for everything.
But
I'm a
fair
science
enough.
teacher, damn it.
Whether it's true or not is different.
That's true.
Hey,
but
Well, you know
what
the Fish
is the
Nerds
most-
tagline. Hang on,
That's
Justin,
the
I'm
reason-
talking to you. So you know the
Hey,
Fish Nerds
hey.
tagline,
you guys
always
reason I said
interesting, usually funny and mostly true. So mostly true is how we roll.
Exactly.
It's okay. I'm in charge now, Justin.
Hey, that's
Clay?
less work for us.
Clay is the reason I said that. Just for you there.
So tell us, if there is one, what is the most surprising or accidental surprise fish that you have ever caught? We will also accept it if a client caught it. It's the most surprising fish one of your clients has ever caught. Will also work.
I'm always surprised when, and I never catch them, when clients catch white suckers ice fishing for perch. I'm always blown away. It happens I shouldn't be surprised. It happens the first week of March every stupid year in the same spot. But every time I'm surprised by it because I never get that lucky. So this happens.
Well, we've also established you forget everything that happens before yesterday. So
that's why everything's so. I had a memory of a fish. I'm like, oh wow, look at that. So the client this weekend we were fishing and he was jigging. We were using 4-pound test and a tiny tungsten jig with a fleck of worm on it. I mean, there's nothing on this thing. And he lands a 6-pound white sucker. Through the
nice.
ice. And the coolest
That's
thing about
pretty
it,
cool.
this client comes out with me every year. This is his 5th year with us. And his line broke. And he had seen me in the previous years dive to the hole when a line breaks. Because you've got a 2-foot, 8-inch wide hole in the ice. So a big fish that falls through an ice fishing hole can't just turn around and swim away. It's hard for them to get out of those holes. So you can land a fish out of the water there. And he dove in, arm to his shoulder, and got that fish out of the water like I would have done. So I was
Nice.
pretty happy with it. I was more surprised to see him land it. Also, he's Canadian, and he's our friend.
There you go. There you go.
That's
Oh,
my
man.
political statement.
No, I approve.
I agree with this.
You'll like this one. What is
All right.
what's the dumbest thing you've done on the water? Or related, what's your funniest fishing story?
Oh my God. I do so many.
I know.
There's so much dumb in my world, and trying to think about the dumb stuff I've done is the biggest challenge. That's hard. I'm trying to think of a recent one. Here's a dumb thing, and
Here we go.
I blamed I blame people for things. Like I don't want to own it, but I think I can own it. So last year, my third or fourth trip, I guide in the summer on a 24-foot pontoon boat,
Mhm.
and I bought a brand new because I wanted warranties because I break stuff.
Mhm.
And the pontoons I have a lifetime warranty, which means you can smash all the rocks you want. They'll fix them and give them back to you. Which I do a lot of bass fishing
Sure.
in it, so I'm smacking rocks all the time. So in the fall, I bring it into the shop, get it fixed, and I put it away for the winter. I'm on my 34th trip last summer, so we're still in May, and I've got clients who were staying on the lake, so I pick them up at their dock, and I take them out swimming and tubing and fishing for a few hours. Next thing you know, we're driving around, and the motor is going kind of underwater. It's not peeing, motors pee a little bit.
Mhm.
It's peeing underwater now, and there's water on the deck of the pontoon boat, and I realize we're sinking. So, pontoon boats aren't known for sinking because they're,
Well, they're
pontoon boats.
pontoons.
Yeah. So I get the clients back to their dock, and when they get off the boat balances out, and all of a sudden the boat's popping a wheelie. The back of the boat's underwater, the front is out. So I have to climb over the front of the steering console and try to get some weight down and drive the boat back to the dock as fast as I can, screaming at people, "Get out of the way, I'm sinking." And meanwhile, the boat's sinking as we go because those back two pontoons are taking water on. I
Mhm.
finally get to the beach. I climb onto the boat. There's no plugs on any of the pontoons. And I didn't think to check them because I paid a guy to put them in and pressurize my tanks.
Right.
So,
And you don't
tanks for nothing.
Right. Oh, you said tanks for nothing, didn't you? I've had a pontoon boat, and
Terrible.
you don't think about it was terrible. You don't think about the plugs in those things anyway, because you don't remove
Right.
them to drain the boat or anything. They're just back there.
They're there. And also on my pontoon boat, by the way, with your pontoon boat, Bret, were the plugs somewhere that made sense to you?
They were the very back bottom of the
So
pontoons.
that was an older boat, right? That's how they used to make them, right? So that way, if you get a little hole and you get some water in, you just park on a hill, pull the plug, the water drains out, you're back to on the water. No big deal.
Sure.
So yeah, guess where these holes are?
I hope they were on the
3/4 up to the
inside.
top. Inside, 3/4 up to the top of the pontoons. You if you get water in your pontoons, you have to put a hose in there and siphon this stuff out.
That's
Mouthful of
right. That's
water.
impossible to get,
no.
or
You
tilt the
can't
whole
get
thing
it
on
all
the
out.
side. Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah. You can't do it. So when you bring it into the shop, they jack your pontoon boat up like at a 45-degree angle, and they drill holes where a plug belongs and drain it out that way. Because
Right.
you can't get water out of these stupid things. Some engineer went, "There's a good idea," and some other guy went, "All right, whatever."
Whatever. We could
So
make some more
whatever.
money doing it this way.
Yeah, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
On the upside, I brought the boat directly to the dealership, and they gave me the $3 plugs back for free.
Hey,
There you go.
That's a win.
I saved $3. Had to drive an hour for
man.
it.
Sure.
So,
Let's go.
you addressed this a little bit earlier when we talked about
I addressed
sonar and
everything,
ice
Justin.
fishing.
Yeah.
Hey, well, that's good. Like I said, less work for us the more you talk.
Yeah.
But
You don't have to do any more show. We got you.
yeah,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts about technology in angling today, like new technologies that have come into angling recently, and what do you see coming into angling technology-wise in the future?
Look, I suck at fishing. So any edge I can get, I'm going to take. I
Mhm.
love it. I think it's so cool. I mean, years ago, I had the wristwatch fish finder that you tied under a bobber.
Oh, I had one of those.
Completely useless.
Smartcast.
I had it. I used it once, and that was it because it was in my way. After that, it was awesome. And I've dealt with really terrible quality flashers for years. I used ones on eBay or whatever, and they're garbage. And now I'm finding they're getting better and better and better. And then you got things like Live Scope, and
Mhm.
I'm not against it. I have no problem with it as long as people are being ethical and they're harvesting a fish.
There you
And
go.
that means maybe you don't keep your limit. If you want to get a fish fry, great, have a fish fry. But do you need 25 white perch? Maybe you need just 5. Maybe instead of catching 5 trout, you need a trout. You don't have to keep your limit just because you can catch a limit. And as far as people using them in tournaments and stuff like that, I don't care about tournaments. I don't care about sports. I don't understand why people do it. I do
There
one
you go.
tournament a year, the New England Paralyzed Veterans Bass Tournament. And it's
Mhm.
not because I care about competition. It's because, you know, they got a bunch of paralyzed vets and I have a pontoon boat. And I'm like, oh, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
Makes sense.
But
Excellent.
Good.
but at that tournament, I see a bunch of fish die every year. And so I'm less inclined to care about tournament fishing anyway.
Yeah.
But I do like the technology because I like easy fishing. Same reason I like going to a pile of rocks, looking at the water, seeing the fish in there and catching the ones that are right there and not casting to the bigger fish. I just like to know they're there and I'm catching them. So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah, I got no problem with it. How do you guys feel about it? Brett, are you okay with it? You look mad about this.
No.
Are you okay?
So
Do you know how-
Brett's furious.
I have a constant frown, and I don't know how to get around it. No, I'm cool with it either way. I do find it interesting to hear people discuss both sides of it, and
Mhm.
how I like it when I hear that front facing is gonna ruin fishing forever. And I was around
It
in the
won't 'cause no one
'80s.
can afford it. So
Well, there's that. I was around in the '80s when they said that about just graphs anyway.
Mhm.
It's going to ruin fishing forever, and it really hasn't, has it?
No, it made it better. You get to catch
yeah.
fish.
Oh
Yeah.
man. So I got a cool one for you.
Yeah.
As a science teacher,
Mm-mm.
how have you been able to bring your passion for angling into the classroom?
Well, so this year I haven't.
Okay.
We've talked about it a little bit. Years ago,
Mhm.
I was able to. The kids are. Listen. I taught 10 years ago, and I had a 10-year break where I was working in radio and doing other things, and now I'm back to teaching again. The kids are different now than they were 10 years ago. I don't know what it is. You can blame TikTok. You can blame phones. You can blame COVID. Whatever. So I'm not able to teach and to tell the stories I used to tell my. I used to teach. I tell stories. I get people excited, and then we get in these like sidebars and we go into stuff.
Yeah.
But when I first started teaching, I loved doing the kids drive their own science learning. And I had a kid who we learned about Pavlov and we learned about classical conditioning and stuff. And I had a kid who said, Mr. Groves, can we teach fish stuff? I said, yeah, let's get a fish. So we went down to the canal and we caught a little bass. We put it in a tank. I said, what do you want to teach it? So I want to teach it the color purple. I went, you want to teach a fish the color purple? It's a bass. And I'm like, go for it. What are you going to do? And she wrote this whole experiment. And every day she hand fed the the fish while wearing a purple glove. Reach in the water, purple glove in front of the fish would eat.
Mhm.
And she did that until then she would put the purple glove with no food and the fish would come to the glove. And then she would put a purple circle on a stick in the water and the purple would go to the purple. And then she put different color in and the fish would ignore it. And I went, that's freaking great 8th grade science. I mean, like, holy
That's awesome.
smokes,
it's
that's
about.
perfect. You couldn't expect anything better than that. And I was so proud of her. I haven't seen anything like that since. But they'll come around. I need to learn the new culture of teaching. It's different now.
There you go. There you
just
go.
ask Chat GPT.
Justin, ChatGPT is nice. There are AI programs designed just for teaching. And
Oh, of course there are.
They are the live scope of lesson plans.
Nice.
It's amazing. I can take a YouTube video and I can say, create a science lab out of that. And within 15 seconds, I've got a procedure. I've got the scientific question, all this stuff. I hand it to the kids and go. It's stuff I used to do on my own by hand. It would take me 2 hours. Now it takes me no time at all. So I'm not, just like I'm okay with technology everywhere else. I'm fine. Let's go. I'm good.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
But the trick is, and I tell the kids is, if you can't do the thing, don't let AI do it for you until you learn it. Then it's saving your time. But otherwise, you can't check its work.
Right.
If
Otherwise,
you
yeah,
can't do it,
exactly.
you can't check it. Yeah.
If you're letting it do everything for you, you're not really learning yourself.
Right. Yes, exactly. And if it's not saving you time because you're not getting it right. Now, Justin, I was making radio for the last 5 years, and I used to do the morning newscast or the sports.
Mhm.
And I asked ChatGPT once to write me the Boston sports for the night before. And it printed out this like 2-minute read, which is what I wanted. And everything was beautiful. The writing, the description of the plays, the scores, all this stuff was stunning.
Mhm.
And then I went online and I double checked all the scores. Justin, guess how many scores were correct?
I'm gonna guess none.
Zero. In fact, some of the teams didn't even play. But it was so pretty. It was so nice. Yeah. Yep.
Sounds about right.
That's right. But man, you in a few years, like you're already seeing it on TikTok and YouTube and stuff. AI is taking over all those videos. Half those videos you watch.
Oh
are
yeah,
AI
It really is.
yeah.
The voiceover, everything. Now they're taking movies and they're taking these clips out of them and having a voiceover, and it's like no one's doing any work, but man, are they making money?
I know. So
And we're making fishing podcasts. We are stupid.
No money here.
Yeah.
Side note,
Yeah.
Clay, I'm a part-time, somewhat professional photographer on the side. And let me
thank
tell you
you.
about AI.
Oh, it's crazy, right? Yeah.
People are just
I've
making
seen
up images, just not even weird, jokey ones. Nice looking images.
it. They are.
It's bizarre. So I
It is.
focus on film. So I have a negative with me. Say, look,
Yep.
see this? You know what this is? Otherwise, I can't prove I made it.
It's hard. Brett, I saw during the eclipse last summer, I went up to the total darkness,
Oh my God. So many.
which was amazing. And then I go online and I see this image. It's so clearly AI. And I went, that's pretty, but it ain't real. And
Right.
people beat me up. I'm like, it's not real. Look at it. It's not, you can't do that. That's not how things work.
Yep.
And
Right. I'm sure it was one that had the ground and stuff and perfect color. And then, yeah, I saw some. It had a sunset in it. I'm like, look, there's no way that's going to work, people.
people are dumb. And I try really hard to like decipher what's real anymore because it's hard.
It's
It's going to get
tough.
impossible in 10 years. Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget it. You're going to have
Yep.
AI program tell you what's real.
Oh man.
But fishing is still real. That's the fun of it, right?
I have
Yeah.
not seen
thankfully.
an AI generated fish yet in the water.
All right, let's get on it.
So, Clay, outside of angling, running the Fish Nerds podcast, and guiding, what do you like to do for fun? What do you do in your free
That's
time?
not enough. I'm not busy enough for you.
Hey,
Yeah, you're kind of lazy. What do you think about fun in these days? Well, that's a great question. What do I do for fun? So the last few years, I've been working about 5 jobs. So there
That doesn't
hasn't
sound
been.
fun.
yeah, we said fun,
Well,
not work.
that's the trick. Is because on in the summer, especially when I'm working hardest, half of my work is done on a pontoon boat with people. I got bachelorette parties, fishing trips, all the things. So it's fun, but it's grind, right? So this year, my first year back teaching, I'm really excited about summer because this summer I am just running my boating business. So I'll be doing 3 days in the water. I charge clients $125 an hour, so I'll do 2 trips a day, 4-hour trips, make $1,000 a day if I'm lucky. And then I'll have time off, and then I'll come back on the If It Swims podcast, and I'll tell you what I do for fun. But right now, I
Perfect.
work. Also, I've got a kid about to go to college, so I'm fun. Fun's for the weak. I'll fun when I'm dead.
I understand. So here's something I've been wondering for a while.
Oh, I make a podcast for fun.
Being from that's a good
yeah,
point.
that's not bad.
Being from New Hampshire,
Okay.
which
Wasn't
is
born here.
which is a long ways from Detroit.
Oh God.
Tell us how East Lansing, Michigan's Wally Pleasant ended up doing the theme song for the Fish Nerds podcast.
That's wild you asked that, isn't it? So you picked up on that. You understand who
So
he is. Like
I
he's-
knew I've actually been on a small tour with Wally. And
Really?
I would just from he was coming through. I went to Dallas, to Houston, and Austin because I was working in industry and I was visiting record stores and stuff. So I was assisting him on this tour anyway. So I've known Wally since about 93 or 94.
I met him in 91, 92.
Yeah,
92. He has record songs about stuff. that
songs
come
about
out.
stuff is when I met him.
Yeah. It's a great record. So I was my friends went to Stockton State College in New Jersey. I went to high school in New Jersey, and I just moved to New Hampshire. I would go back and visit, and we went up to Stockton State College, and Wally Pleasant was playing, and I went, "Oh my God, he's singing about bad haircuts and being a small time drug dealer and all this kind of
Right.
stuff." And I'm like, "I love this guy," so I bought everything I could find from him, and for years, like 30 years or something like that, I've been listening to his stuff over and over and over again. And then I noticed on, because I make a stupid fishing podcast, I
Right.
noticed on Amazon there's a book out called 101 Oyster Jokes by Wally Pleasant.
Yep.
And I went,
I
Wally
wonder.
Pleasant. Let me see. And so I found him on Facebook. I sent him a message. I said, hey, Wally, did you write a book called 1,001 Oyster Jokes? He went, yes. And I said, listen, I've been listening to your music forever. I'm a huge fan. And I just kind of laid it on the table. I said, you want to come on my podcast and talk about this? So he came on the podcast, talked about it. And on the podcast, I said, hey, Wally, what do you think about writing a theme song for the Fish Nerds? And he went, okay. And the day after,
Yeah.
I get an email from him, and I got this great theme song, and it's
Let's hear it.
pretty great. I got you.
Whether you're fly fishing in a stream, getting those ankles wet, or deep in the ocean, casting nets, Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. Fish Nerds. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
I faded out here, so, but anyway, you can listen to my podcast for the whole thing at the end of every show. But
Yep.
how cool is that we got original music? But we don't only just have original music from Wally Pleasant. Our
Correct.
listeners gave us music too. So, like, we have a news theme.
The news theme.
Everybody loves their fishing.
And that's from Diana's Bath Salts, a local band up here. We have a
Nice.
hiking trail here called Diana's Baths. It's the most popular trail in New Hampshire. So they call themselves Diana's Bath Salts. And then we have,
It's funny.
whenever we talk about sex,
I know this one as well.
of this.
You and me, girl. Come on.
Oh man.
There's only one way we're gonna get more fish in this world. It's up to you and me, girl. That's spawn.
Let's spawn.
Yeah.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I like
That's
having
awesome.
buttons too. I got a machine
Yeah.
with buttons on it.
Yeah.
But it's wild. So our listeners give us songs to play. If I just mention on the show I need a song about this, they come, they
appear.
give it to us. And that's by the mysterious baitcaster Cylinder, who
Which is
asked me to
amusing.
never share his real name.
Right.
He's also written us food theme music. We have all kinds of fun on the Fish Nerds podcast. Thanks for asking that question.
Yeah. Well, like I said,
Give me a
it
chance
was
to push buttons
amusing.
on my machine.
Chance to push buttons and chance to mention mention Wally, which I found amusing.
Isn't that wild? And it's funny. I'm surprised because I thought no one ever heard of Wally Pleasant. And I was shocked how many people actually have heard of Wally Pleasant.
Yeah, well, you know, less now. He's up on that farm and stuff. But when he was, you know, when I was college age, or right after I was in college, he was touring a lot. You know,
Well, he was trying to make a living. Yeah.
he was and he was making a living at it. He was touring a lot. So he was down here in Dallas twice a year. You know, so I saw him a good bit, and he was also super nice, super friendly, and he wrote funny
And
stuff.
he looked like Morrissey back then.
He did look like Morrissey back then. Now he looks kind of like
Who knows? Old
Red.
mountain
He looks
man.
kind of like Red Green now.
Mhm. He does. Yeah, he does indeed. Yeah. I'll tell him we talked about him this show. Maybe he'll listen.
I was gonna send him a message as soon as we were done here and tell him that his name came up on this. So
Right, well, do it.
yeah,
Do
awesome.
it. He's got an ego like the rest of us. He'd be happy to hear about
exactly.
it. No one cares more than us, so. What's next? Is that
So
25 questions?
we're getting close. We're getting close.
Yeah.
Based on that last question, I think you're gonna like the next one.
I like everything, Justin.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
But obviously, angling is very important to us here at both If It Swims and the Fish Nerds. But I'm getting the feeling that music is also going to be a common denominator between our two podcasts. So, do you have any other songs? And I'm going to say not the ones we just heard, unless those are the only ones you know of, that mention fishing. Or do you have a favorite song that comes to mind when you think of fishing?
It's interesting. I don't usually tie the two things together. Like, so on the boat all summer, like I'm down with yacht rock. You know, give me some Hall & Oates and crank that stuff out, or some Steve Miller Band. Like I'm so there, right, all summer long. I don't want to hear yacht rock any other time. But on my boat,
Fair enough.
you know, I got that peaceful, easy feeling. I'm trying to go out and dig on some music and have a good time. But I don't usually think about fishing and music together. Although you can't hate songs about fishing.
Right.
I'm trying to think about. Do you ever get like a name of an artist in your brain? You can't. Taj Mahal, right? Every kind of fish got to have good bait. I can't even sing it right now, but like, I can't. I don't put the two together. I play music
Fair enough.
when I fish, but I don't connect the two. So
Gotcha.
It's
Gotcha.
and I love music. I was a DJ for the last 5 years.
Right.
So
cool.
But yeah. But
Well-
I will say this publicly right now in case anyone
Mhm.
needs to hear it. I don't like Justin Bieber. So
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I can.
I
you
don't
need
think
to
he
hear
has any songs about fishing anyway, so screw that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah, screw that. Guy. He sucks. I've been famous since I was a child. I got billions of dollars. Who cares?
Right.
I mean,
man.
maybe I'm jealous. Yeah, but the weekend
Sure.
can suck. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
You can tell whom I said that.
Sure.
Miley Cyrus, though, on the other hand, I
Mhm.
love her. And
Okay.
interestingly, I went fishing with a guy named Kimball Packard, who owns a venue up in New Hampshire called the Farm Stand, which is a farm. It's a farm stand where he has live music, but he brings in national acts.
Fun.
And it's like 30 people. You got to pay like $1 million, but you can go see the national acts. But he's friends with Miley Cyrus, and he had dinner with her just last summer, and he was telling stories about Miley. So I am one person away from Miley.
One
Yeah.
step.
And
One
do you
degree
know who
of
John?
separation.
One degree.
And do you know
yeah.
do you know who John Davidson is
I do not.
from the
Sounds
80s? Come on,
familiar.
Brett. Come on.
No.
That's incredible. Hollywood Squares.
Oh, absolutely. Then
Big
sure.
hair.
Yes.
So he lives up my way now. He comes on my boat with me. He sings songs to my wife. He has a club up here in Sandwich, New Hampshire called Club Sandwich, where he does a one-man show for an hour and a half. And it's the most fun you ever have. So John Davidson
cool.
and I are friends. Yeah. In
That's
the
very,
winter,
very
he
cool.
goes to Mexico and lives on a boat.
Well,
But-
as you do.
So yeah. I don't know why these people hang out with me, but they do.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm not that
man.
much fun, Brett. Like I talk all the time, and they let me. You know who
Yeah.
doesn't let me talk all the time? My wife.
Your wife? I know how that
Don't-
goes too.
Don't tell her I said that.
Yeah, she doesn't listen anyway, does she? Does your wife
Just-
listen to your podcast?
No, my no one I know listens to my podcast.
Good enough. My wife doesn't listen to mine either.
Right, no one you know listens either. Like I'm just.
That's a good
they
point.
Just don't. You'll never get all your friends listening. Even like if everyone on your Facebook
Oh, no,
page
no,
just
no.
once, they just listen one time, you might make $30, but they won't listen.
I don't
They don't care. They don't. No one likes you, Brett.
I don't want them to listen anyway, truthfully.
they
Same
might
with
find
my
out we
wife.
suck.
I
You're
don't want her to
talking
listen
about
either. You know.
20
Oh,
years down the
man.
drain. Yeah.
This has
Yeah, they
been
They might find
This
out how
is-
bad we suck.
they know already. Oh man, this has been a lot of fun, Clay. I do have
We're done?
one
Thank
final
you.
question for you.
About freaking time. Come on.
All right. What's up?
That's the question.
Yeah, it's your chance to plug your book and what you don't have a book. But-
So if you are an agent out there or you're a publisher, I got a half-written book, and if you can hire a ghostwriter to finish it for me, I really appreciate it because I'm bored of it. But listen, this is fun for if anyone listens to If It's One podcast, you find this interesting and fun. Come on over to the Fish Nerds, download a few episodes. We have 400 something of them.
A lot.
Brett, I think we might be the longest running fishing podcast on the internet.
I think you are.
That's
It's
pretty
very
cool.
possible. 2011.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think-
it's
I
been
think
a long
I'm-
time.
I think we're the shortest.
You might- It's funny, Brett. When I first started listening to your podcast, I was like, one a month. That sucks.
It does.
And now I'm about one every 12 weeks. So we did 10 years, one a week for 10 years.
Ooh, man.
And then during National Podcast Posting Month, we did one a day for 30 days for like 5 years.
That's a lot,
Wow.
man.
Yeah, and we killed
That's rough.
It was fun. We killed the
Yeah.
National Podcast Posting Month because we learned is that if you post every day, you lose listeners. If you post once a month, you do
I
okay.
could see that.
Yeah, I don't
Twice
think I
a
could
week.
keep up with that
Yeah, and we
as a
find-
listener.
Yeah, it's too much. You find that like every week is good. Every other week is good. Once a month is good, especially if you have back catalog. But you guys are doing a great job. I
Appreciate
highly
that.
recommend that anyone who likes the Fish Nerds, go check you guys out. You're a direct ripoff of the Fish Nerds, and we are thrilled to have
Sure
you
are.
there. You have
Oh,
the Fish
man.
Nerds endorsement. I don't worry about. I don't believe in competition
Not
which,
in this market anyway. Yeah.
in any market.
Yeah.
As a fishing guide, other guides around me,
Sure.
I want them to be successful. I want to give them clients I can't take out. I want them to win. There's plenty of people listening to podcasts, looking for a good fishing podcast. If it swims, you guys are getting it. The segments are great. Like long form fishing podcasts where you just talk about one thing for an hour and a half.
Ugh.
Good Lord, I could vomit. Stop it. Stop it. Fishing's not that interesting. Get cool people on,
Well,
tell stories, move on. Let's go.
Yeah. I mean, fishing is. Talking about it is way less interesting than actually
There's a
fishing.
reason your
Yeah.
wife isn't talking to you anymore, Brett, and that's it right there, buddy. You nailed it.
Oh, man. Oh,
Anyway,
that's awesome.
fishnerds.com for all your fishers fun. You want to come fishing with me? Come up to New Hampshire. I will take you out in my boat. We'll take you out in the ice. We'll have a good time.
There you go.
Anyone's welcome. And Brett, and Justin, your open invitation. You can stay at my house.
I appreciate that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Come up next winter.
I'd love
We'll
to go
ice
ice fishing sometime.
It's super fun. Or in summer, I'll take on the boat. But you know, it's wild to me, and this will blow your minds. There are people who vacation in New Hampshire and spend money and hang out with me because I
That's
heard
pretty
my-
cool.
Sure.
That blows my gourd. I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Really? Yeah. And they're happy about it.
So I've never been ice fishing. I've
You-
never.
well,
Mm,
You're not targeting
we-
ice.
we got to
I've
fix
never
that.
stepped out. I've never stepped out on the ice.
Wow. So if you do, you're gonna like all of a sudden have a Jesus moment, and you're like, I'm walking on water.
I can see that.
Yeah. Yep.
It seems
It's
interesting, and it seems like it seems
Are
like
you
a way
scared
if you
of
don't
it?
have a boat, you can reach fish you can't reach otherwise.
Even better than that, Brett. Here's the cool thing about ice fishing. Let's say you want to build an ice fishing shack, right?
Yeah.
There's no building regulations.
No,
You can build the ugliest shack you want. And so Mitt Romney, you know who Mitt Romney is?
of course.
Politician. He has a house on Lake Winnipesaukee that's worth like $15 million right on the water. You can build the ugliest shack on the planet, and you can slide it right up 4 feet from his shoreline and sit in there and jig fish all day while he goes, "You kids today," yelling at your ugly house, and you're right there, perfectly legal in his backyard. And there's no other time you can do that.
Nice.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
That's why ice fishing is beautiful.
There's a
It's all
good
'cause of
reason.
Mitt Romney. Yeah.
Oh man. Hey,
Yeah.
thanks a lot again. This was a lot of fun.
Are we done?
We are.
Well, good Lord, it's only been an hour.
It's only been an hour.
Worst guest ever. I said 13 questions, and you'll stop talking.
No, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it's been great, Clay. been
Thanks
a
for
lot of
having me.
fun.
On. I appreciate you. Yeah, it's been a
Thanks
lot
for
of fun.
joining us.
Of course, and I enjoy your podcast. If It Swims is awesome.
Well, thank you.
It's one of the few podcasts I listen to as soon as it comes out every time. And so I
Appreciate that.
appreciate you guys putting that out every month. And I've noticed too, you're getting better and better, starting to find your voice. And
It's
it
a
takes
it's a
long
process.
It is a process.
time. And
I'm gonna go
when
back
you're
and
only
listen to
doing-
your first one and see how that went.
You wouldn't believe the garbage I put on the internet. But it's so hard to get it all right,
It's
especially
tough.
when you're in multiple locations and all that.
Well,
But you're doing it. Keep grinding.
we've all got
okay.
jobs, you know.
Jobs are for the weak.
Sure.
Yeah, but
Oh,
no, I
man.
appreciate you having me on here. It was a lot of fun. I've been wanting to come on your show since you started making it and interact with us on the social medias,
You bet.
and we'll share this thing out and we'll
Cool.
get some people happy.
All right,
We
we'll see
done?
you. As we say, Clay, we will see you out there. So there's a lot of stuff happening on the Carp Ladder, which is our year-long contest based on unusual baits for carp. It starts on April 1st and runs for exactly 1 year. That said, feel free to jump in anytime during the contest. It'd be awfully fun to try and catch up. You can send an email to carpladder@ifitswims.com and we'll get you on the list. Then, on the 1st, we'll send you the official image and all the info you need to submit your catches. Last month, we announced the first 4 baits. which were sweet corn, a dough ball, bread, and an unflavored chickpea in that order. Today, we're giving you 4 more. Once you pass the first ones, which should be easy, things get a little more interesting.
I mean, what if I put hot sauce on my chickpea? Am I disqualified?
Well, there's no disqualification, but it's
All right, I'll play by the rules.
It's against the spirit of the rules.
I'm waiting for Justin to
Dave,
submit the
rebel.
picture of the carp on a ladder. He's going to take a ladder to the hole and put a carp on rung 2.
Man, that'd be awesome.
That'd be a lot of work, but that would be funny. How about just a
It would be
step ladder?
easier to take a traffic cone, but the step ladder would do.
This is not Striper in a traffic cone contest.
All right.
Submit your
first
best
one-
pictures of a striper and a traffic cone to if it's
Oh, please, that's probably not a good idea. Bait number 5 is hominy.
Oh.
Oh, fat corn, puffy corn. I think it's corn soaked in lye, which is kind of weird.
Mhm.
Hey, wait. That's what you make soap out of, I think.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
I don't know why you soak corn in it and it gets more delicious, but it does. That one should be pretty straightforward. After that one, cheese.
Cheese?
Yeah, cheese. Cheddar, Swiss, Munster, even Wensleydale.
This is
Whatever you can think of
this
or whatever's stuck in your fridge. Yeah.
this is
Blue
this
cheese.
is already where I feel like
Oof.
most people are going to get stuck because they're only going to catch catfish.
Catfish might be a problem.
Catfish love them some cheese.
I know. But even then, we are interested in bycatches, so that'll be cool.
Then again,
We can get past cheese.
I love me some cheese.
If I
too.
draw a mustache on my catfish in the photo, does that make it a carp?
Sure.
What do you just trim his barbels down?
Yeah.
Those little carp barbels now. Just say it's a leather.
Number 7 is one Dave alluded to in a previous episode.
Hmm.
French fries.
Mm.
I was going to say, it better not be soup.
French fries. If you know a waterfront restaurant, you have an inside track on this one.
Mm-hmm.
And the last one of this release is a corn nut.
Corn nut, huh?
Oh,
You know
Right.
corn nuts.
we're going to do the whole corn smorgasbord.
Pretty much. Every time you pass a truck stop, you know you have to buy a package of corn nuts anyway. They used to be hard. They used to be so hard they'd crack your teeth.
Yeah.
But I think they've changed the recipe a bit.
You just have to
will
drill
Carp
in a
eat
hair
one?
rig 'em either way.
Yeah, no kidding. Will Carp eat one? Well, we're going to find out as a group, aren't we?
That's right.
There might be some.
We might all get
yeah,
stuck.
Everyone's just stopped at
Yeah.
one thing like corn nut or cheese.
Maybe. I think corn nut and cheese are both pretty possible, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
Yeah, it hasn't.
And
gotten
I may
really
have
good
said
yet.
blue cheese, but and I think blue cheese would be a good bait, but I think also counting for blue cheese would be any cheese you have in your fridge that's turned into blue cheese,
Mm,
right? Some moldy old
Yeah,
cheese
yeah.
you want to get rid of,
better than throwing it away. Go catch a carp on it.
right?
So the corn nut is probably the first bait that will require a hair rig.
Mm-hmm.
Some of us are going to be Googling because I did fish a hair rig like probably, I don't know, 20 years ago.
Right.
I don't really remember.
You can always just.
I
buy
remember
one
it
or-
involves some line and some
Right.
kind of little
some
stopper
line. It involves some line. That's right, Dave.
and a drill.
Hey, Dave,
Yeah.
they're really cheap on Amazon, and they work fine.
I think you could probably just use about anything for a stopper, including an old whisker.
I've used a piece of grass many times.
What was it? What was it you used to use? You used some plastic from something.
You know those not zip ties, but those beaded plastic
Yeah,
ties
that's
used
what it
for,
was.
for clothing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Those
yeah,
worked
yeah.
pretty good.
I had a bunch of those from somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and those were my stops. We're going to request you not use fake corn as your stop because, again, it may
Yeah.
defeat the purpose
Mhm.
a bit. My problem is going to be not eating all the corn nuts while I'm fishing.
One for the chum, one for me. One for the chum.
That's right.
Oh, crap. I ran out of bait.
They might float too, so I'm not sure that's going to work for the chum.
Yeah, they might float.
If they float,
On-
that'll
on
work
a
pretty
rig, they'll
good.
sink.
Yeah. Well, in a rig, you'll be like a little pop up.
Little pop up, little cornet pop up.
So we're getting a little scientific with this contest. I like it. We're going to
I'm
learn
not-
some things.
I'm not sure how scientific.
Dave,
that
we're
is,
fishing
but,
for carp with cheese. We ain't being very scientific.
We're not learning anything.
Well, you guys learned last time that I've never seen or made a dough ball. So I was actually thinking about it earlier today. I was like, I guess you just kind of squeeze that thing onto a treble hook, but I don't really want to
Onto
catch
a
a carp on a treble hook.
Yeah.
If you read the rules, it does say single hook only.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No treble hooks, no weird multi-hook insanity rig.
Gotcha. Well, that's good.
Yeah, single hooks, and they'll make just fine for dough balls. I
you
promise.
just kind of mold it around the hook. It's pretty simple.
Yep, works great. So
Wow. 4 new baits.
That's 8 total, and we're kicking off in just a few days here, probably the day after this drops. So we'll be ready to go.
Now, as the host of this podcast, Bret holds all the secrets. And so I want to ask you a
He
question.
does hold all the
that-
secrets.
You don't have to reveal any secrets.
Okay.
But I'm curious if you have decided how many rungs there will be on the carp ladder, or if that's going to kind of be like, we're going to keep adding rungs as long as we have to.
There are 40,
How many?
48.
We're not, no one's getting anywhere near that high. But I like it.
I like it.
I
too,
feel like
and
the
it's
back
just for
half is
fun
all
anyway.
the back half is all just gonna be like for laughs. So you're like, oh, no, you can't.
I
catch
tell
on
you
that.
what,
Well, Dave,
since
put
I'm
some soup.
disqualified from winning the free sticker or whatever it is at the end of this
Right.
thing, I'm going to start at the wrong end of the ladder and see
start with
if
the
I can meet y'all in the middle.
You're gonna start with the soup.
I'll start with the clam chowder.
Yeah, the soup is theoretical. There is no soup as far as we know. Yeah. So that's 4 more. That brings us to 8 total. Next month we've got 4 more. We'll cover the leaderboard next month to see where everyone is.
That's right. By the time we record the episode we drop around May 1st, there will
Mhm.
have already been a couple of weeks of, I hope, participation.
Up to 4 weeks, actually.
Yeah.
I will probably have at least one rung of the ladder.
I predict I will be through 8.
You'll be through 8, you think, already? That would be impressive.
Yes. That's my plan.
Given my current location, I don't know if I'll be that far, but I will be.
You probably won't.
I will tell you this much, though, Justin. I didn't buy any fancy new bait feeders. So, bait feeders, bait runners, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
So, I'll be pulling the Dave trick that I did last time I fished a small pond for carp. I'll just be loosening my drag way up.
Yeah.
And then
You
when
do
I
it.
get the carp, I'll be questionably tightening the drag and praying that I didn't go
Or-
too far.
Mhm.
Or you will forget you've loosened it and you will set the hook and actually backlash a spinning reel.
I've
Yeah, that could be a
I've seen that
possibility.
happen.
You've seen it happen to yourself.
No, because I don't loosen my drag that way. My
Oh,
drag.
that's right. You don't.
I think Jeff did that.
I've done that.
Yeah, I think I've seen you do that.
I've done that. I forgot about it.
No, I've done.
pretty
I've
sure-
done plenty of other dumb stuff while fishing, and I've certainly have tangled my line a million different ways, but that isn't one of them.
Gotcha.
Oh, I'm pretty sure I've only ever used a circle hook to catch carp with bait. So I just take setting the hook out of the equation because I'm
Right.
just not, that'd have to be good. It'd have to have timing. Yeah, forget that.
Sure.
Let them hook
Although-
themselves.
Although those octopus circle hooks that so many people use are like a half circle,
Yeah.
you still need a slight set on those, or at least some sort of bolt or something, or a pretty tight drag so they can get some resistance pretty quick. But we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna shoot for 8 before we record again.
Wow.
That's
Good for you.
That would be impressive.
How's this?
Doable.
I'm gonna go the first weekend after it starts with all 8 baits with me.
I predict that Bret's total weight for the first 8 rungs of the carp ladder is going to be 6.2 pounds.
Dave, you know where I'm going.
I know where he's going.
I know where you're going now too.
And I would be there. There's just a few too many miles between me and there.
I'll see you there, Justin.
You're like, you'd be pulling into the parking lot. Oh, damn! I know that guy's truck. Hide! I don't want him to know my spot.
Actually, there's a lot of great places. I mean, most of us listening have a spot where we know we can go catch a carp fairly quickly if we want one, right?
Yeah.
I do have one neighborhood pond that I know there's at least 2 carp in. I'm just afraid I will have educated those 2 carp.
That's a different bait.
Within the well, that's true. That's true. Maybe they'll fall for bait number 8 on day 1.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that there's exactly 2 fish in that pond, but I know there's 2.
Gotcha. Oh man. So let me drop this email address again. It is Carp Ladder at ifitswims.com. We'll get you signed up. Jump in anytime and start at rung 1. Let's go. You guys have anything else this month?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited for the Carp Ladder.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. It'll be pretty interesting. So there's more information about this podcast and recent trips on ifitswims.com. We post catches on Instagram at if_it_swims. All links to find us are available in the show notes, along with items covered this month, including everything you need to know about the Carp Ladder. Our music was written for us by Dallas artist Jeff Hewitt. Join us again next month. Join the Carp Ladder and tell a friend. As always, we will see you out there. See ya.
Bye.
Bye, guys.